Hello again. Tshwane Mayor Randall Williams welcomes any form of investigation on corruption and impropriety relating to the pending power contract. He's refuted claims by the EFF, the ANC and Action SA accusing him of flouting the Municipal Finance Act with a 26 billion rand unsolicited tender. What is actually happening? Well, my colleague, reporter Govan Whittles, attended to that briefing a little bit earlier. He's joining us now to give us more clarity. Good afternoon, Govan. Welcome to Today. Now, what did the Tshwane Mayor say about these allegations that have been leveled against him by the other parties in Tshwane?
Well, Randall Williams is digging in his heels. He says he's not acting unilaterally, and there was no tender for 26 billion rand. And what he had brought to council was the intention to lease land next to a power station to this consortium. And that's what was not discussed in council. That report, of course, withdrawn. But we've managed to get to the heart of this. Bradan, the Mayor, Randall Williams, says that this was a 26 billion rand investment proposal, i.e. the consortium would be bringing the money in to build gas turbines next to old coal-fired power stations in the city of Tshwane. Those power stations haven't been operational since 2014. And they've got this investment proposal to build these turbines next to the power station, which obviously does have the inlet to supply electricity potentially into the Tshwane grid. And this would be very valuable, access to this inlet, and having those gas turbines there under the ownership of the consortium would certainly be very lucrative. But Randall Williams says they're not that far yet. What they brought to council was the intention to lease the land to this company so that they could build these turbines. And he says that that is the main fight between the opposition or the coalition parties. Randall Williams saying that Action SA has acted more like an opposition party, although it's part of the multi-party coalition. And he's made some strong comments about how his leadership has been criticized after he brought this proposal to lease the land. Let's take a look at them now.
Yesterday, there was a press release held by both Action SA, or rather media briefings held by both Action SA and ANC pertaining to Tuesday's council meeting. I'm here today to refute the allegations made by both of these parties as well as the EFF. Let me start by saying I was immensely disappointed in the conduct of Action SA, who supposedly one of our coalition party members. They started a press conference yesterday by talking about their commitment to the coalition government, and then ended with a resolution to remove me as mayor of that government. It is notable that the sentiments expressed yesterday were by the national leadership of Action SA, not their caucus leader in Tshwane. After Tuesday's council, I immediately called a meeting of the mayoral committee caucus on Wednesday morning, particularly because I wanted to engage with my team. At no point during the meeting did the Action SA MMCs, which are MMC Abel Tau, MMC Peggy de Bruin, or MMC Andre Leroux, express a lack of faith in my leadership.
And Govan, what more did he say about the use of public land?
Well, what's interesting, Bradan, is the assertion by some of the coalition parties that they're concerned about the intentions behind this deal. And the public land is really at the center of it because it's the first step that would eventually lead to the construction of gas turbines and then potentially feeding that into the Tshwane grid. With regard to that, the Tshwane mayor saying that the city of Tshwane is under no obligation to enter into any power purchasing agreements with the consortium after the turbines had been built, because that itself has another process attached to it. And even if this consortium is given the right to lease the land and build these turbines, doesn't mean that in the future they'll be paid back through a power purchasing agreement to sell electricity to the city. Although that could happen, the mayor is saying that there are sufficient safeguards in place to ensure that even if that did happen, the city would be obliged to only pay less than the Eskom price per kilowatt or the exact Eskom price per per kilowatt. So he says the city is safe in that regard. But let's take a look at what the mayor had to say about where the process is currently and how they'll approach the question of using land that belongs to the city.
We decided to then use the Municipal Asset Transfer Regulation, because there was a request by the consortium, by the investors, to lease the property. There are stands, there are valuable land next to the 2 power stations. And again, we've issued the council report. Now that is the report that was tabled in council. And what the Municipal Asset Transfer Regulations provide is that if there is a proposed lease on council land, the first thing you must do, you must go out on public participation. That was the decision that council had to take. So it had nothing to do with the investment. There's no law that says in South Africa you have to approve an investment. That does not exist in South Africa. So what was before council was there was a request to lease land from council.
Randall Williams, the mayor of Tshwane, explaining his position in what he says actually happened in council, ending that update by Govan Whittles.